Did you know that our food has evolved more in the last 100 years than it did in previous 10,000 years? And if you are someone who's struggling to burn that extra body fat, understanding this evolution would really help because it kind of gives that clarity. In this video, I'm going to explain the evolution of food and its impact on fat loss. Mostly give my perspective on it and also give you guys a step-by-step actionable advice so that you gain some clarity and apply that for your fat loss journey. So a little bit about me. I'm working as a professional personal trainer and a lifestyle coach from past 7 years, and I've transformed over 80 individuals. Through this journey, I've realized that everyone is individually very different because I have to deal with and understand a lot of different behaviors, mindsets and habits. So in pursuit of trying to transform everyone, I have come to a conclusion that the fundamentals are extremely important. And unfortunately, the information we have on internet today about this whole fitness and health industry is actually messing up the fundamentals, and people are now exposed to a lot of misinformation, and all that misinformation kind of creates an overwhelming confusion. And a lot of people struggle with their fat loss journey because they think they lack motivation, but what they really lack is clarity. And that is one of the major reasons why I'm making this video right now, to give you guys that clarity. When you're trying to transform yourself, when you're trying to be on a good diet, you kind of become cautious about food. You're thinking, what food should I choose? But when it doesn't work, that's when the frustration starts to kick in, because you are cautious. It takes a lot of mental energy, and at the same time you are not getting what you want to get, which is the fat loss. You also want to enjoy your favorite foods, but every time you do, you kind of have that guilt, which is ruining a lot of things for you. And on top of that, we have so many different diet styles. We have so many different types of advice, both online and offline. You don't really know if you're making the right choice. And there is a counter for everything. Someone will say red meat is bad for you, and someone will come up with a research paper saying no, red meat is actually good for you. And someone will say vegan diets are bad. Someone will say no, vegan diets are actually good. So there is a counter to everything, and someone who is in the industry, who's studying about it, might get some clarity, but someone who has other things to do, you're a business owner, maybe you have a regular 9-to-5 job, and for you to figure out all these things, it takes a lot of work. So the question is, how do we really understand the truth and reality behind all of this and come to a conclusion so you get some clarity about it? So understanding the evolution of food will give you that clarity. Now I want you all to imagine this. Let's go back hundreds of thousands of years. Early man had very few interests, and food is one of the most important and crucial interests that they had, because that is survival. That means the early man gets excited when he see an animal that he can hunt and eat, or he see like a bright fruit on a tree, because that's food and that is exciting. But then food was unpredictable back then. Like, you don't know when you're going to find more food. So you tend to eat as much as you can so that you can sustain for longer. And this is very natural in humans. You don't need a research paper for that. So as population grew, humans kind of moved to places where the source of food is high, and then population kept growing. We started farming because we wanted more food, and population kept growing, and then we moved to industrialization where we wanted food on a large scale. And now we are at a point where we are 8 billion humans on this planet, and for us all to get food, we need to figure out ways to produce a lot of food. And a lot of big industries are doing that by doing a lot of genetic modification, which will increase the yield of food, which is also bringing a lot of problems, which is a completely different rabbit hole I can go down, but that's for a different video. Anyway, human evolution is completely based on problem solving. We face a problem and we solve it, and that's evolution. But what we don't really see is that not all the solutions are good. And out of all this, what you need to understand that because of the way we are designed, it's better to have a lot of calories in one bite. And we were always looking for it. We made food which does that, because if you eat a lot of calories in a short duration of time, that means you can sustain for longer. And that is how everything changed. Like, we went from eating an apple for a sweet treat, which is like 80 calories, now to a brownie which is 500 calories a piece, and you can finish the brownie just like that, and you can eat more than that. So we kind of add an ice cream scoop and some chocolate sauce and all that bullshit, right? And we did that deliberately to pack in a lot of calories into one bite. There is a really smart advice that a 70-year-old fit man gave, that I don't remember his name, but he said this. He said, if man made it, don't eat it. If God made it, eat it. That made a lot of sense to me, because if you look at a bowl of rice with some chicken, there is very less man involved in it, because rice, nature, chicken, nature. But if you look at a brownie, right, I know it all, the sugar, the flour, everything comes from nature, but it takes a lot of processing and mixing and a lot of combinations to get that product. So there is a lot more human creativity went into it. So this whole thing has changed how we eat our food, but the natural instincts did not change that much. For example, now we don't have the scarcity of food. In fact, we have abundance of food, but most of us still eat like we don't know when the next meal is. We just stuff ourselves. So now that you guys understand that, here is my actionable advice. Number 1, cut out all the industrial junk. Eliminate all the highly processed food that comes in fancy packing, that has a lot of preservatives. It gets very complex if we keep getting into the ingredients and what kind of preservative with what code number they are putting it in and which one is good for you. It's very simple to just avoid it. You're not going to die if you don't eat Pringles. And my second advice is understand the difference between craving and hunger. Most of the times you don't need food, you just want it. Human body is designed to handle scarcity of food. And a better way to understand that is, if you want to eat a specific type of food from a specific restaurant in a specific location, that's a craving, assuming that you're craving the wrong foods. My third advice would be prioritize nutrition dense food, not calorie dense food. Like if you eat food that has good amount of nutrition, you cannot overeat that. Like for example, eggs. Nobody can overeat eggs. My fourth advice, fasting. People underestimate the power of fasting. There is a strong reason why it has been a cornerstone for all the religions. Like every religion supports fasting. It's because we are designed to handle that scarcity of food. Especially if you're fat or if you have some health issues, just don't eat today. You're not going to die. You should at least try to fast once in a while. It has a lot of benefits and it makes sense if you look at it through the evolution lens. My last advice, every time you get confused with the food choice that you're making, question yourself if that food existed in past. Like if you look at 1,000 years ago, did this really exist? I hope this explanation and this advice really help you and make you think about your food choices. And I hope you gain some clarity, because remember, you don't lack motivation, you lack clarity. And that's it. Follow me and subscribe. All my links will be in the description to all my socials and my newsletter and my products if I have any.